Welcome to Broken Vows. This is a space where real women finally speak the truth, stories of betrayal, heartbreak, and the strength it takes to survive. If you've been silent for too long, you're not alone. Let's begin. I found the receipt in his coat pocket. A cheap motel, $74.95, dated the same day he told me he was visiting his mother in hospice. But his mother passed 3 years ago. That was the moment I knew I wasn't just being paranoid. I was being played. Denise had been married to Carl for 22 years. They went to church every Sunday, hosted neighborhood barbecues, shared a joint Facebook account. From the outside, they looked picture perfect. But inside, something had been rotting for years, and the woman he betrayed her with was someone she once called sister. Denise met Carl in her college choir group. He played the guitar. She led worship vocals. Their love blossomed in the church, the kind of pray together, stay together story everyone admired. They married young, moved into a modest home in suburban Georgia, and built a life filled with PTA meetings, potlucks, and Friday night game nights with friends. They had 2 children, Nathan and Rebecca. Denise became a full-time mom, then a preschool teacher at their church. Carl worked in insurance, often traveling during the week. She cooked dinner every night, sent him sweet texts, prayed over their meals. She believed that if she just gave enough love, the cracks would disappear. But over time, Carl became distant. He'd forget birthdays. He stopped holding her hand in church. He started sleeping in the guest room after saying he snored too loud. She thought it was stress, or maybe a midlife phase. She never considered infidelity. Not Carl. Not the man who still quoted Bible verses and kissed her forehead before leaving for client dinners. Joanne was Denise's best friend for over a decade. They met at a women's retreat. Joanne was loud, funny, generous. They volunteered together, planned baby showers together. They even took a girls' trip to Nashville 2 summers back. Denise trusted her like a sister. When her mother passed, Joanne held her hand at the funeral. When Carl forgot Valentine's Day, Joanne brought flowers just in case. The 3 of them, Carl, Denise, and Joanne, often sat together at church potlucks. She never noticed how often Joanne laughed a little too hard at Carl's jokes. Until the messages started. It was her daughter, Rebecca, who first noticed. "Mom, why does Aunt Joanne heart all of Dad's photos, but never comments on yours?" That made Denise look deeply, closely. On Facebook, she saw that Carl and Joanne had been tagging each other in posts from the same places, but on different days. A Starbucks near his office, a Christmas tree farm he claimed to hate. Still, she brushed it off, until she found the receipt. The motel, the lie about his mother. That's when her stomach dropped. Denise didn't scream, she didn't confront, she investigated. She downloaded a private phone tracker. She checked call logs, credit card statements, hotel bookings. What she found made her physically sick. Carl had met Joanne at least twice a month. At hotels, restaurants, once even while Denise was home sick with the flu. She called her therapist in tears. Not to cry, but to plan, because what Denise wanted now wasn't revenge, it was truth. She began documenting everything. She saved screenshots, took pictures, she called a lawyer quietly, asked about options. One Friday afternoon, she followed him, said she had a church meeting. He said he was visiting a sick friend. She trailed him in her sister's car, and there it was, the budget motel on Route 27, and Joanne pulling in right behind him. She waited 15 minutes, then knocked on the door. Carl opened it shirtless. Joanne was in the bed behind him, holding a wine glass. Denise didn't scream. She handed him the manila envelope with the printouts. "These are for your lawyer," she said, then turned to Joanne. "All those nights you prayed over my children, all those Sundays you hugged me at the altar, was it worth it?" Image 4.4. Joanne started to sob. Carl said nothing. Denise walked out, not because she was weak, but because she had already done the hard part, letting go. That night, she didn't cry. She wrote a letter to her children, then poured herself a glass of wine, turned on Aretha Franklin, and danced barefoot in her kitchen because she wasn't going to let betrayal define her. The divorce took 9 months. Carl tried to claim the house. He failed. Joanne moved out of state after their church politely requested she find another congregation. The kids were heartbroken, but Denise sat them down, told them the truth in the gentlest way she could, and reminded them, "Your father failed as a husband, not as a father." She started therapy twice a week, began journaling, Took a solo trip to Maine, something she'd always wanted to do. Her neighbors brought casseroles. Her book club bought her wine. Her pastor visited every Sunday for 6 weeks straight. It was in these small, unexpected acts that she found her strength again. At 48, she enrolled in a part-time college program, took art classes, created a new Instagram at Still Standing Denise, where she posted drawings and reflections. The page grew. Other women started messaging her. Now, 2 years later, she's remarried to a kind, quiet man named Paul who lost his wife to cancer. They met at a grief support group, and while Denise still has scars, she wears them without shame, because they mean she survived. Some betrayals break your heart, others wake you up. Denise thought she had the perfect life, but in trying to keep everyone else happy, she forgot to ask if she was happy. Sometimes the people we love the most and trust the deepest are the ones who hurt us worst. But what you do after, that's where your power lives. She doesn't tell this story for pity. She tells it because she knows someone out there is sitting in the dark, wondering if the knot in their stomach is real. It is. Trust your instincts. You are not crazy, you are not dramatic, and you are not alone. Denise learned that she could lose her marriage and still keep her dignity. She could lose her best friend and still find love again. So if you're watching this and feeling the sting of betrayal, hear this. You are worthy of love. You are worthy of honesty. You are worthy of starting over. Tell us in the comments, what would you have done in Denise's shoes? Would you have confronted him at the motel, stayed silent, walked away? Subscribe to Broken Vows for more real stories every other day. If you've lived through something like this, write to us. Your story might help another woman find her voice. And remember, you're not alone. Not here, not ever.